I'm Margaret Chen, 78 years old. When my son Daniel married Jessica, a woman 30 years younger, I knew she was after his money. Within 6 months of marriage, Jessica isolated Daniel from me, poisoned him against his own mother, and convinced him to sign over his entire inheritance to her. Then, she tried to put me in a nursing home to steal my house. Jessica thought I was just a frail old Asian woman who wouldn't fight back. She didn't know I immigrated to America with nothing at 22, built a multi-million-dollar real estate empire, and spent 50 years destroying people who underestimated me. This is how I exposed her affair, got her arrested for fraud, and left her with nothing. Subscribe now. Hit that bell so you never miss stories like this. My name is Margaret Chen. I'm 78 years old, Chinese American, and a retired real estate developer. I came to America in 1969 with $200 in a suitcase. I built a real estate portfolio worth $8 million through 5 decades of hard work. I raised my son Daniel alone after my husband died when Daniel was 10. Daniel is now 50 years old, successful, kind, and the most important person in my life. 3 years ago, Daniel met Jessica at a company conference. She was 28, beautiful, charming, and worked in marketing. Within 3 months, they were engaged. I was concerned immediately. Jessica was polite to me, but there was something calculated in her eyes. She asked too many questions about our family finances, our properties, Daniel's inheritance. When I gently suggested to Daniel that maybe they should wait, have a longer engagement, he got defensive. "Mom, you're being judgmental." Jessica loves me. Age doesn't matter. They married 6 months after meeting. The problem started immediately after the wedding. Jessica began isolating Daniel from me. "Your mother is too controlling, Daniel. She doesn't respect our marriage. We need boundaries." Suddenly, my weekly dinners with Daniel were canceled. My phone calls went unreturned. When I did see Daniel, Jessica was always there, monitoring every conversation. Jessica also started pushing Daniel to make financial changes. "We should have power of attorney over your mother's assets, Daniel. She's getting old. What if she becomes incapable of managing her properties?" Daniel resisted at first, but Jessica was persistent. She convinced him I was becoming forgetful, that I needed help managing my finances, that it was his duty as my son to protect me. Then Jessica made her big move. She told Daniel I should sell my house and move into a luxury assisted living facility. "Your mother is 78, Daniel. She's too old to live alone in that big house. What if she falls? What if something happens? We should sell the house, put her somewhere safe, and use the money to secure her care." My house was worth $3 million. It was my home for 40 years, the house where I raised Daniel, the house I'd worked my entire life to own. Jessica wanted me to sell it so she could access the money. Daniel, manipulated by Jessica's constant pressure, actually started suggesting it to me. "Mom, maybe Jessica's right. Maybe you should consider moving somewhere with more support." I realized then that Jessica's plan was clear. Get me into assisted living, gain power of attorney, control my assets, and eventually inherit everything when I died. She'd married Daniel specifically to access my wealth. I was 78 years old, and Jessica saw me as an obstacle to be removed. I needed to act fast before Jessica convinced Daniel to do something irreversible. I hired a private investigator named Margaret Chen, no relation but another Chinese American who understood family dynamics. "Mr. Chen, I need to know everything about my daughter-in-law, who she really is, what she's really doing." Robert worked for 3 weeks and came back with explosive information. Jessica was having an affair with her personal trainer, Marcus. They'd been together for 2 years, even before she met Daniel. Text messages showed Jessica explicitly telling Marcus, "I'm marrying the rich older guy for his money. Once I get control of his inheritance, we'll be set for life." Jessica had specifically targeted Daniel at that conference. She'd researched him beforehand, knew he was wealthy, knew his mother had real estate assets, and planned the entire seduction. She was a professional gold digger who'd done this before. Robert found evidence that Jessica had been engaged twice previously to wealthy older men. Both engagements ended after the men's families discovered her affairs and blocked her access to money. Jessica was a con artist, and Daniel was her latest mark. But Robert found something even more damaging. Jessica had been forging Daniel's signature on financial documents. She'd opened credit cards in his name, taken out a personal loan using his information, and was systematically stealing money from his accounts. Jessica had already stolen nearly $200,000 from Daniel while convincing him to isolate himself from me. I now had everything I needed to destroy her. I didn't tell Daniel immediately. If I confronted him directly, Jessica would deny everything and convince Daniel I was lying out of jealousy. I needed to let Daniel discover the truth himself. I arranged for Daniel to accidentally discover the affair. I had Robert hire someone to invite Daniel to the gym where Jessica met Marcus every Tuesday afternoon. Daniel went to the gym, supposedly to try a new workout class, and saw Jessica kissing Marcus in the parking lot. Daniel was devastated. He confronted Jessica that night, and she tried to claim it was a misunderstanding, that Marcus was just a friend. But Daniel wasn't stupid. He'd seen enough. Then I showed Daniel the financial evidence. Daniel, while Jessica was having an affair, she was also stealing from you. I gave him copies of the forged documents, the credit card statements, the unauthorized loan papers. Daniel couldn't believe it. "Mom, how did you get this?" I explained everything. The private investigator, the affair, the financial fraud, the previous engagements, the entire con. Daniel cried. My strong, successful 50-year-old son broke down crying. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I should have listened to you. I let her poison me against you. I almost made you sell your house. I'm so sorry." We went to the police together. The financial fraud was a criminal matter. Jessica had forged Daniel's signature, opened fraudulent accounts, and stolen $200,000. The detective assigned to the case was sympathetic. "Mrs. Chen, your daughter-in-law is a career con artist. We've been looking for her for years under different names. She targets wealthy men, marries them, steals what she can, then disappears. You've given us everything we need to arrest her." Jessica was arrested at work 3 days later. The look on her face when the police walked into her office was priceless. She called Daniel from jail, screaming and crying. "Daniel, your mother set me up. This is all lies. I love you. Don't let her do this to us." Daniel hung up on her. Jessica was charged with identity theft, forgery, wire fraud, and grand larceny. Her lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal, but the prosecutor wasn't interested. Ms. Jessica Williams has committed these crimes repeatedly. She's a danger to the community. We're seeking the maximum sentence. The trial took 6 months. I testified about Jessica's manipulation, her attempts to isolate Daniel, her push to gain control of my assets. Daniel testified about discovering the affair and the financial fraud. The forensic accountant testified about the forged signatures and the stolen money. Jessica's previous victims, the 2 men from her earlier engagements, also testified about similar patterns of behavior. The jury convicted Jessica on all counts. The judge sentenced her to 8 years in state prison. Ms. Williams, you are a career criminal who targets vulnerable people for financial gain. You manipulated a man into marrying you, isolated him from his family, and systematically stole from him. You attempted to defraud an elderly woman of her assets. You have shown no remorse. 8 years. Jessica screamed in the courtroom. Her lawyer had to physically restrain her as she was led away in handcuffs. Daniel and I sat in the front row, holding hands, watching her being taken to prison. Daniel immediately filed for divorce. The divorce was granted within 3 months on grounds of fraud and abandonment. Jessica got nothing. No settlement, no alimony, nothing. Every dollar she'd stolen was ordered to be repaid, though she had no assets left. Daniel and I rebuilt our relationship. It took time for him to forgive himself for how he'd treated me during the marriage, but I never blamed him. Daniel, Jessica was a professional. She knew exactly how to manipulate you. What matters is you saw the truth and did the right thing. We have dinner together every week now, just like before Jessica. Daniel is dating again, but this time he's careful. He introduces me to anyone he's serious about early in the relationship. Mom, I'll never let anyone come between us again. I'm 78 years old. I came to America with nothing and built everything through hard work and intelligence. Jessica thought she could manipulate my son, steal my assets, and put me in a nursing home like a forgotten old woman. She learned that immigrant women who built empires from nothing don't go quietly. Jessica is now 6 years into her 8-year sentence. She tried to appeal, claiming Daniel and I conspired against her, But the appeal was denied. The evidence was overwhelming. When she's released, she'll be 42 years old with a felony record, no money, and no prospects. Daniel will be 58, happy, and surrounded by family who actually love him. People sometimes ask if I feel guilty about destroying Jessica's life. The answer is no. Jessica chose to be a con artist. She chose to target my family. She chose to try to steal everything we'd worked for. She earned every day of that 8-year sentence. I protected my son, protected my assets, and sent a criminal to prison. That's not revenge. That's justice. I'm a 78-year-old immigrant woman who spent 50 years building an empire. And Jessica learned the hard way that you don't underestimate women like me. Age doesn't mean weakness. It means experience, resources, and the knowledge of exactly how to destroy people who threaten your family. Jessica will remember that for the rest of her life. The end.